Imagine you're in the year 1900 in the heart of New York City. If you asked anyone about the future of transportation, they wouldn't tell you gasoline. Back then, electric cars were the undisputed kings of the streets. They were more common, quieter, and cleaner than the noisy gasoline cars, but suddenly, they disappeared for an entire century. Was it a conspiracy or just technological evolution? Today we uncover the story of the first electric car and why it failed in the past despite its superiority. Electric cars are not a modern invention. The story began in the 1830s. Scottish inventor Robert Anderson designed the first crude electric carriage between 1832 and 1839. However, it ran on non-rechargeable batteries, making it an expensive experiment. The real turning point came in 1859 when Gaston Planté invented the rechargeable lead-acid battery. By 1890, chemist William Morrison introduced the first successful electric car in America. It resembled a carriage, could carry up to 6 passengers, and had a top speed of just 23 kilometers per hour. By 1900, the market share was astonishing. 38% of cars in America were electric, 40% were steam-powered, and gasoline cars came last at just 22%. Why did people love them? Because gasoline cars at the time were a nightmare. They required physical effort to crank start the engine, produced unpleasant odors, and made terrifying noise. Electric cars, on the other hand, started with the push of a button. They became the choice of the elite and wealthy. Even Clara Ford, the wife of Henry Ford himself, refused to drive her husband's gasoline cars and chose the luxurious Detroit Electric instead. Do you think the Chinese company NIO invented battery swapping? Think again. In 1897, the electric vehicle company, EVC, operated a fleet of electric taxis in New York. Because charging was slow, they built a massive station inside an old skating rink, where hydraulic lifts would remove a depleted battery and replace it with a charged one in just 3 minutes. This fleet recorded the first speeding ticket in American history, and, unfortunately, the first fatal pedestrian accident as well. If everything was so perfect, why did the empire collapse? The truth is, it was a perfect storm of 4 factors. 1. The self-starter. In 1912, Charles Kettering invented the electric starter for Cadillac cars. Suddenly, gasoline vehicles lost their biggest disadvantage. Anyone could now start the engine with the push of a button. 2. Henry Ford and mass production. While electric cars were handcrafted and expensive, around $1,750, Ford introduced the Model T at just $650 and later reduced the price to under $300 thanks to assembly line production. 3. The Texas oil boom. In 1901, the Spindletop oil well in Texas erupted, making gasoline cheaper than water, literally. 4. The expansion of highways. People began traveling beyond cities into rural areas. Gasoline cars could travel hundreds of miles, while electric cars were confined to cities due to weak batteries and the lack of electricity in the countryside. Electric cars attempted a comeback twice. The first was in 1959 with the Henny Kilowatt, built on a Renault chassis, but it was expensive, slow, and failed after selling only 47 units. The second attempt came in the 1970s during the oil crisis. The oddly shaped city car appeared. Although it briefly made its company the 6th largest automaker in the US, poor performance and lack of safety led to its disappearance once gasoline became cheap again. The story of electric cars is not one of technical failure, but of timing and economics. It took 100 years to move from heavy lead-acid batteries to lithium-ion batteries, which emerged in the 1990s and changed everything. Today, we are not inventing something entirely new. We are simply continuing a dream that began in the 19th century. The dream of silent, clean transportation that was killed by cheap gasoline a century ago. If you could go back to the year 1900, would you buy an electric car or bet on gasoline? Let us know in the comments.